I'm Cheryl, and I got into payday loans also because of Bill's problems and trying to keep up with rent and other emergencies, doctors, and things like that. And then I lost my job for a while, and I was stuck, not knowing how to pay off my bills. It was easy enough just to get a payday loan because I couldn't get one from the bank. The bank wouldn't allow me to because of my past credit history. I couldn't get a credit card. I couldn't get anything. And payday loan, they offered it to me, and I would. And the problem is that once you get them, you almost have to always re-loan just to stay above. And I'm still trying to get through these things yet, and still working on trying to get through this one. And hopefully with a lot of help, and I will be able to pay this off eventually. But yeah, don't ever get into a payday loan. They are costly. I borrow only $450, and I have to pay $509.95 every 2 weeks just to pay back the $450. And it just becomes a cycle every 2 weeks of back and forth, paying getting the $450, but then having to pay $409 or $509.95. So it's just a constant cycle and a hard one to break. So that's my story. Yes, I wasn't informed about the interest rates. They just told me how much more I'd have to pay. So if I borrowed $450, they just told me my payment would be $509.95. Well, not even looking at what the interest of that was. That was never explained to me at the time I went to borrow. They were more than willing to give you money, and you didn't need credit. They didn't have to look at your credit to even borrow, and so it was easy enough to get money through them than it is any place else. But they do not explain the interest rates to you. The process of getting a payday loan is very quick. You just fill out an application. You have to bring a current bill. You have to show a pay stub and a bank statement that you have a checking account. And that's all you need, and you can get a payday loan. So they're very quick, and within 15 minutes, you're in and out. Yes, it might take 15 minutes to get this loan, but you're in this for a long haul. It's a constant battle. They get you and they keep you. They know you by name. They even know that where I work and that I work, and they even know all these little things because you talk to them when you come in, and it becomes almost like a person you get to know. But it is still something you should not have and should not get into.
It's been years since I've had a payday loan, but I still vividly remember the experience. I vividly remember the faces, the people, how they treated you. It makes it easy to get into, but it's very, very difficult to get out of because it's like a trap. It's like someone at the trap door welcoming you in and saying yes, and we'll give you whatever you need and we'll help you in this situation, and not letting you know that really this is the worst decision you could possibly make. We're going to be friends for a very, very long time, and it will take all of your power to release me from your grip. And that's something you really don't even think about in the beginning because you're in a position of desperation. And so I would recommend not ever doing a payday loan.
My name is Rhonda, and I am actually here to offer a different perspective on the payday loan advances. I actually never took a payday loan. However, I used to manage a payday loan advance store, and I chose to leave that job just because the main reason is because I saw what it did to people, and it literally just turned my stomach. I couldn't do it anymore. It is a cycle of people do come in when they're desperate, and they come in and they get the loan, and it is very easy to get. And in 2 weeks they have to pay it back, and then they have to reborrow. And eventually what I saw is, for a while you would get customers that would be regular customers, and they would come back faithfully for the first, 2 or 3 times and pay it back and reborrow. Well, then it would get to where they couldn't afford to pay it back anymore because the interest was so high that every 2 weeks it was taking a big chunk out of their budget, and they just had to let something go, and the payday loans were the ones that didn't get paid. Well, as the manager, part of my job was actually collecting. If the person didn't come in to pay, I needed to try to hunt them down. Either go to their home, go to their job, whatever resources I could find to try to get them to come in and pay. And so I went to this gentleman's work, which was a very uncomfortable situation to do that to someone. I mean, they're already struggling. You don't want to jeopardize their job. But I did. I had to, bring him our little letter that says you need to come in and pay. And the first time we go, we just leave the letter. And if we don't get a response, then we have to go back. And so I did. And I found him at his job. And he didn't lose his job or anything, but he did actually get reprimanded for me coming there. And I felt really bad about that, but, I was trying to do my job, and after seeing situations like this time and time again, I just hated seeing what it did to people. I had a lady who had come in and taken a payday loan and didn't come back to pay, so I went to her home, and then her husband answered the door, and he had no idea she had done it. And so she said to me, "Oh, okay, I'm going to come in and pay." She got away from him and came and talked to me for a minute. And then as soon as I got back to the store, she called me and she said, "I'm not going to come in and pay. I just told you that because, my husband was there. I don't want you at my house. I'm not going to pay you. My car got repossessed last night, and it's just not going to happen, and I never had any intention of paying you." So, you get those type of situations as well. And people, they get desperate, and so they reach out to the only place that will help them at the time, which happens to be a payday loan place. And I think that it makes people that normally wouldn't do things like that out of desperation just do things that they wouldn't do. Like this particular person I didn't have any in tears and say, "I got myself into this situation with these payday loans. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? Can you advise me on how I
took
can
$450
stop this?"
out, but my payment when I repay back is $509.95. So every 2 weeks I'm paying $59.95 extra just of what I borrowed at $450. So that's I don't know what the interest on that.
Because of the amount that they let you borrow, if your rent's $500 and your loan is $500 plus interest, you have to take the loan back out in order to pay your information. And for the first time in a long time, someone actually said yes to a loan because I had gone to my credit union and they said no because I had a bad credit history from being behind on my other bills. So I took the loan out. I saw the 200% interest rate or whatever the rate was, and that didn't matter to me. I just needed to get caught up, and I thought that it would be easy on the next paycheck to just get caught up. But what I didn't realize is that when you take the dollar amount out, it's all due at the next pay period plus interest. So if you don't have that full amount of money, then you're just stuck in having to go in the cycle of having to reborrow your own money plus interest every time you get paid. So that's the cycle that I got caught up in, because at the next pay period, then there's rent due, and so you can't pay off the loan and not have that money. You have to pay your rent. So you redo the loan again and just get caught up in that cycle. The first time I took the loan out, it took me until the end of the year when I got my taxes back to pay the loan off. And then another emergency came about a year later, and the first time I said I would never do it again, but I had to do that again a year later, and that time there was no end of the year check that I could count on, so I decided that I was going to pay my way out of it. And the only way to do that was, I believe I was up to about $650 that I was borrowing every 2 weeks. And so every 2 weeks I would ratchet it down, maybe $50, maybe $100. So instead of the $650, I'd borrow $600. Then the next 2 weeks I'd borrow $550. And then an emergency would come up, and then I'd end up back at $650. And so over a period of months, I was up and down, but then slowly trying to work my way out. And then I finally, after several months, I paid my way out of it. And it was a tough process, because every time I come in, they knew my name, they knew my kid's name, they had a play area for her to play in when I got there, and it's just a, hi, how are you doing? We're happy to take your money again kind of situation. And when I made that last payment, I said that I would not be back, and she just laughed and said, sure, bye, as if not to believe anything that I said, that she knew I'd be back. And so, but that was the last time that I went, and I'm very thankful for it. It was a very bad situation of having to repay your own money every 2 weeks, and it's just like a cycle that is very difficult to get out of, especially when you're in a situation of you're not making enough, or you don't have enough to cover that dollar amount that you loaned